Hi everyone, it's Joy, and I want to welcome you to my Stamp with Joy Cards and Crafting with Joy Nelson YouTube channel. So you may have reached this as part of a global Stampin' Up! Vlog hop, and because of that, I wanted to make sure that after you watch my video, you are sure to click on the link in the description to make sure to hop to the next person at the end of this video. So for my project, I have chosen to use the Butterfly Brilliance stamp, and it is part of a bundle. So you get these die cuts to cut individual butterflies out. You also get a die that cuts out all of them as they are stamped, all of them together, and then you can cut them apart later if you wish. And you've got some other great pieces in this die bundle as well. I am going to show you the ink pad that I created using baby wipes in one of our stamping containers. So the empty ones, they are great for storage and other techniques like this one. I took, to create my pad, 3 different colored re-inkers. The Melon Mambo, the Flirty Flamingo, and the Mango Melody are the colors that I used. And then I took and put re-inker in lines kind of diagonally and added, did some a little thicker, some a little thinner. And then I let it sit for a little while so that those colors could blend together just a little bit so that I didn't have strict lines when I stamped this. So I'm going to put that aside for a minute. And I'm bringing in another stamp case container with some scrap paper and a Stampin' Spritzer. I will also probably be using a water pen as well. I will be using some of the shimmery white cardstock. I don't know if you can see the shimmer in that. I'm going to kind of turn it a little bit, hoping that some of those shimmers, some of the glittery parts in this paper catch the light and that the camera picks it up. So this was great to use. I found it worked a little bit better for what I wanted than the watercolor paper. So I'm going to take, I want this to be wet, and I want it to be completely wet on the top. So I am spritzing that, but then the water kind of puddles. So I'm going to take my water brush and go over that as well to get some of those puddles out, because I want this to be, uniformly wet. And then set that aside for a couple of minutes. I am going to bring in my Stamparatus, and I want a greeting on this card. So I brought in my lovely You stamp set, which has some great greetings on here, lots of different ones to choose from. So I have chosen the Just Because, and I've mounted it on my Stamparatus. I have also cut a piece of paper, and I'm going to turn this to the side a little bit, that is 3/4 inch wide or 1.9 centimeters. I've marked on my grid paper for my Stamparatus where I want that paper to be, and I've cut it a little longer than what I need it. I'm going to bring in Memento ink, and I'm going to ink that up. And then take and close that, and then just give that a little rub. And it's not quite, I think I want it to be a little darker than that. So I am going to do it one more time, which is the beauty of the Stamparatus. is it will stay exactly in the position you want it as long as you keep the hinge together. Oh, that looks perfect. So this is how you can get a perfect stamp every time with the Stamparatus. So I've also brought in a piece of basic black, which is 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters. And I'm going to bring in the lovely Labels Pick-a-Punch. And yes, I got a bunch of black ink on me. So we will just ignore that. That just means I was having fun. And I'm going to take and put it in the slot that I want. And take it, so it goes in, it does 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, and 1 inch. Slide it in, make sure it is where I want it on the back. There we go. And do the black piece as well, and only I'm going to do it on the opposite side with the black. Make sure that is in well. There we go. So this piece is going to get attached on top of that piece. I'm going to take my snail and run some of that on the back of this piece to attach these two pieces together, leaving a border around. Then it's a little longer than I want it to be, so I'm going to take my paper snips and I'm going to cut that even with my black piece and set this piece aside. I am bringing my stamp and my baby wipe stamp pad back in, and I'm going to give that a little rub. Make sure we get all the parts of those very detailed, very pretty butterflies. And then I'm going to shift it up just about 1/8 of an inch, which is just, I think, about 0.3 centimeters. And then I'm going to shift it back down just a little bit and do the same thing. And the reason I'm doing that is to make sure that we really don't have a hard line in between those colors when we stamp that. So now I am bringing in this very damp piece. You want it damp. You don't want it too damp, but you don't want it too dry either. I'm going to bring that in. And a piece of scrap paper. Going to set this on top. Put my scrap piece on top of that. And you want to give it a gentle rub. Now you're going to flip that over. And it should release for you. Okay, well, I think that was maybe just a little wetter than I wanted. So that is something to learn from. I've gone ahead and done a piece that I have let dry. So I should have let my piece of paper get a little less damp before I did that. But that, that might make a good background for a different project. I'm going to bring this one in. This is the one that I've let dry. and you can kind of flatten it because it will be a little bit curled. I want to show you the difference between doing it completely without dampening the paper first and then doing it with damp paper. It just, I don't know if you can tell the subtle difference, especially maybe on this butterfly here. You can see where it just pops, the ink pops just a little bit more if you do it with damp paper. So set my stamp aside. I'm going to bring in my finished sample with my background piece that I've made using the baby wipe technique and a damp piece of the shimmery white cardstock. And I have taken a piece of the basic white thick, which is a little bit heavier, which is a little bit nicer for a card base. And I have scored my card base in half and then brought in a piece of basic black, which is 1/4 inch smaller or 0.6 centimeters smaller, depending on what country you're in. And then this background piece is 1/4 inch smaller than my basic black piece, which again is 0.6 centimeters smaller in other countries. So I'm going to go ahead and attach those together using my Stampin' Seal again. I like this for really quick and easy mounting of pieces together, attaching them without mess. Oh, and I want to use dimensionals on this piece. So I'm going to bring in my dimensionals. And eyeball that so that is centered. And then bring in our Just Because greeting piece and use Stampin' Dimensionals on that as well. I really like dimensionals. They really add a lot to a project. And put that about right there on our project. Now I have gone ahead and die cut a piece in the Mellow Mambo cardstock from one of those dies in the die set that comes with this bundle. And I'm going to take some of the mini Stampin' Dimensionals and put a couple just right here on this solid part of this butterfly because it will just give it a little bit of a lift. And then I want my wings to kind of come out. And then take some of the liquid glue. Will work a little bit better on this than the Stampin' Seal. You want to make sure you don't get too much. Take a little bit of that off. And then I'm going to line this up on top of this butterfly. And you will be able to see the parts from the detail of the other stamp coming through the wings a little bit. Now, you know, it's not quite complete because it just needs a little extra sparkle. So I'm going to bring in a basic jewel rhinestone and put one of the largest ones right there. It really only needs one. And there we go. There is my finished card, but I want, oh, it is not quite finished yet. I forgot that I wanted to stamp the inside. So let's stamp another piece in just the basic white cardstock. Again, using the ink pad that I have created with the baby wipes. Taking and bringing the paper to the stamp, and this size is the same size as your card base. So it is this size here. And then just let that kind of fall off. So I've gone ahead and cut a strip for our purposes. So I just cut down a small strip from this. This strip is 3/4 inches or 1.9 centimeters. And I also brought in a very thin strip of the basic black. It's a 1/4 inch strip or 0.6 centimeters. And this is going to go inside of our card. So I'm going to take some of the multi-glue. And this is going to go right along the edge because it's going to match the inside of our card perfectly. And then do the same thing for our strip of the basic black. Just a thin bead. You don't want it too close to the edge because this glue will ooze a little bit, but it lets you, gives you a little wiggle room on your positioning, which is a good thing. Especially when you're just dealing with strips and you want them to line up perfectly. So there is, oh, there's a little bit of an edge there. I'm just going to take my paper snips and just cut that off so it's even. So there is the inside of our card. I have left it blank because I'm going to write a personalized note. So there is the sample I did for you just now. There was my original sample, and I want to show you what I did. I made another sample because when I was designing this, I cut my inside strip too wide. There just wasn't going to be enough room to write much. So I thought, well, I am going to make this part of the outside of a card. So that's what I did. I have my wider strips here, and I'm going to use this as the outside of this card, stamped a little greeting here, and use more of the individual die-cut butterflies in the Melon Mambo. So there's two things you can do with this set and the baby wipe technique. So I hope you enjoyed my project. So if you wish to place an order, please make sure that you contact your regular demonstrator. And if you don't have a regular demonstrator, you can use the Find a Demonstrator to find one in your area. Also, while you're here, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, please subscribe and also like this video. Thanks. See you later. Bye.